Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Live Team Alliance training session for Sunday, October 7th. Time right now is approximately 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Before we get started with training, well, first off, let me give a shout out to Ms. Otis because she brought to my attention that the market was actually open when we were under the impression that the market would be closed for Columbus Day. So come to find out, the market is open, and here we are training. So huge shout out, Ms. Otis. Thank you very much. Definitely one of our vets on deck. Those of you who are new, welcome to Team Alliance. You guys have made a very wise decision by joining us in training. You're going to learn a great deal of information. You're going to learn how to become highly skilled at understanding the market and the way that the market moves. And ultimately, you're going to learn how to recognize market behavior and turn that into profitable trades on the Nadex platform. Okay, the screen that you should see now is the Nadex platform. This platform is an exchange. The way that Nadex works is very simple. Instead of you trading against, an entity, a huge corporation that's basically just, there to take your money eventually, what this platform is set up to do is put you against someone on the opposite side of your trade. So when you're taking trades, this platform is designed to utilize binary options. And binary options is a very simple way to capitalize on your understanding of the market because you can get paid very quickly. These are 5-minute binary options that we're using on this platform. The 5-minute binaries roll over literally every 5 minutes. And there's an opportunity for you to make money if you're correct about where the price of the market ends in relation to the strike price that you have selected. Now, the market that we are watching in particular is the GBP USD, or the pound dollar. The reason that we watch this market is because we don't need to watch more than one market, and this is the one that we're the most familiar with. Understand that different markets have different types of behavior. They have different ways of moving. They go through different cycles throughout the year. And the more acquainted that you are with one market in particular, the better positioned you will be ultimately, because you're going to be that much more familiar over other traders with the market that you're watching. Okay, so this is also one of the things that plays a part in our success. We don't scatterbrain ourselves. We don't stretch ourselves too thin by looking at multiple markets at the same time. There's no need to do that. Pick one market, focus on that one market, and learn and study the behavior of that one market. That's what we do with the pound USD. Okay, so this is the market that we're watching, and this is the market that we're going to be taking our trades on. Now, on the Nadex platform, as I mentioned, every 5 minutes these binaries roll over, and what we're doing is we're actually looking at the price of the pound. The price is reflected on this chart by the white number right here in this gray box, the one that you see moving down here on the chart. This is also reflected up here in the binary ladder, right up here where you see my mouse, where it says indicative price. This is also the price of the pound. So this price and this price are the same number. And this is what we're watching, price, the price of the market. What we do is we study the way that it moves. And the reason that that's important is because we're dealing with binaries. So binaries are the way that you can capitalize if you are correct about where the price is going to end when the binary expires. Like right now, you see where it says time left? You see how it just started over? So now we're in a new 5-minute binary. The previous 5-minute binary that we just watched, I actually just boxed in with this rectangular box right here, this highlighted box. I boxed in this candle because we are looking at how the price is moving during this candle, or this minute, this last minute of that previous binary that we were just watching. The one before that is where you see this one. Each of these represents the end of the binary, the last minute of the binary. So this is the most pivotal and the most important part of the binary, because this is where the decision is made as far as whether or not you're going to win the trade. Period. So you got to be correct about where the price ends during this point in the binary, and ultimately you'll win your trade. So the precision comes with being correct about where the market ends. So in order for us to do that with consistency, we have to know how to study the way that the price is moving at the end. We need to know how it moves, and we need to know what it is doing ultimately as far as its movement, its speed, where it is ending relative to strike prices, things of that nature. And all of this will come together. This is not anything, especially if you're new, that you have to, be too concerned with yet. As you train, you watch the training videos, you familiarize yourself with the process that we use, everything will come together for you. Trust me. Okay, so what we're going to cover in training is just pretty much more of the same of what we normally would do. We want to continue to simplify the process that we use from the beginning. So in other words, when we first come on the chart, what is it that we need to be doing as soon as we get on the chart? And what you see me doing right now is exactly what Jerry just said, play by play. So when I come on the chart, first thing I'm doing is identifying what the behavior in the market is. We do that by running the play-by-play. That's what these boxes are. Okay, these rectangular boxes are boxing in the last minute of each binary, and we're looking at this now in real time. When I first came on the chart, I put this one up. Just now, the last binary, put this one up. And we're looking at how price was moving during that minute. During the last minute of the binary, we need to recognize what the behavior is. So right now, actually, what we're seeing is a very familiar behavior to us. It was here and it was here. Same behavior. What was it? Bingo. Jerk. And basically, jerk means erratic behavior. It's the behavior that we don't want to see. So jerk actually tells us a lot of information about what the market is doing currently. If there is jerk present, more than likely there's too much speed present in the market. And having too much speed is also something that we do not want any part of. So what we're doing right now is we're sitting in observation mode. We're just watching. When you come on the chart, your job is not to try to get into a trade. Your job is to watch the market, read the market, interpret the market, and then plan accordingly. So we call it protocol. You need to know exactly what you're doing from the very beginning. From the very moment that you come on the chart, you need to know what the heck you're doing. So when you get here, when you're recognizing what the behaviors are, that's the first part. This is the play-by-play, what we're doing right now, right? And notice I'm just boxing in this last minute of the binary. You can see there's about 20 seconds remaining. So Another 20 seconds, we're going to see how the end of this behavior is going to be. And that's going to give us more information about the current environment. And you can kind of see it's still doing what it has been doing for the last two binaries. It's jerking around at the end. All right, now, that one happened to hold at the end. And because we're looking at the real-time price movement, you can see that it wasn't clean. When that set up just now, there was what in the market? Too much of what? Specifically. Too much speed. You see? So you're actually doing a lot of analysis of the market just looking at the market. Notice we don't have any indicators. There's nothing else on the chart. We're just boxing in the candle of the last minute, and we're studying and looking at how the price is moving. Right now, we already know enough to know that we're not doing anything. We already know we're not trading because there's no trades to take, for one, and this is not the environment that we should be in when we want to take our trades. That information alone is the reason that you're going to win consistently, because you already know how to avoid losing. Knowing to stay out of the market right now in this current environment, like right now, there's too much speed in the market. What we're waiting for is a slow condition. If there's too much speed in the market, you know that that's not a slow condition. So a slow condition is a prerequisite. Good behavior is a prerequisite. And those two things go hand in hand. So if you don't have either one of those two things currently in place, then you already know what it is that you're waiting for. This is part of the protocol. So every time that you're on the chart, the reason that you need to know what the market is doing is so that you can know what to wait for. So right now, at this current moment, what exactly are we waiting for specifically? First thing. What's the very first thing that we're waiting for? Just based on the play-by-play that we're doing right now. Vestavia said progression. Courtney said Mark's hold. I know what you mean, Courtney. Minnesota's progression of behavior. Mari, slowness. Joel, slow condition. Bingo. Bang, bang, bang. That's what I'm talking about. Excellent. We need the market to slow down. That's one. Now, in addition to the market slowing down, what else are we doing that kind of already let us know that the market's moving too fast? What are we currently doing? What are we actually doing right now? Now, we know that we need the market to slow down. Exactly. See what Jerry just said? Right now, we're doing the behavioral study. We're doing the play-by-play. So there's two things currently going on. One of them is that we're waiting for the market to slow down, right? And as we're doing that, we are also running the play-by-play. So because speed and the behavior of the market are so closely tied together, observing the way that price is moving at the end of the binaries while you're waiting for the market to slow down is like you sitting in the trees. If you're like a sniper and you're sitting in the trees, you might be sitting there for X amount of time, just waiting. You're not doing anything. You're sitting and waiting. And your job is to sit and wait for the target to get in sight. Now, when there's no target in sight, you don't even have the gun up yet. You don't even see the target yet. You're waiting. Your job is to sit there and wait. This is where the patience comes in. So part of the progress, or I should say part of the process that we're doing is waiting. That wait is simply you knowing what to wait for, and you guys just told me specifically what we're waiting for. We're waiting for the market to slow down, and we're waiting to see progression in terms of the behavior in the market. Now, let me revert back to what I just said a moment ago. Behavior and the speed in the market are very closely tied together. You'll notice that as the market starts to slow down, you'll start to see better behavior in the market. You'll see the beginning of progression. You'll start to see it. The reason that you're seeing it is because the market is slowing down at the same time. Yes, you see what Stevie just said? Speed is part of progression because the slowing down of the market is going to create progression in behavior. They're the same. The reason that we need to separate them for ourselves is so that we know specifically what to wait for at the time. Because there are times where you'll have the behavior that we're looking for, but the market's too fast. And then there's times where you'll have the slow condition, but you don't have the behavior yet. You see? So we're waiting for them to sync up. We're waiting for them to synchronize. And during that waiting process is when your skill is being cultivated. Like you're learning during this process. Don't think that just because you're doing this and you're not getting into a trade yet, that you're not doing anything. This is the most important part. This, what we're doing right now. We're not here to just get on the chart and trade. That's how you lose. That's how you lose your account. That's why people lose their account. So instead of us doing that, when we come on the charts, we immediately go into observation mode. We need to see what's going on. Once we know what's going on, now we know what to wait for. And because we know what to wait for, we have the patience that we need because we don't do anything until the market gives us what we're waiting for. That's the discipline. That's the discipline. So the patience allows us to wait, and we know what we're waiting for because we understand what our protocol is. And then on top of that, we don't do anything until the market positions itself to give us trades. And we know what specifically we're waiting for during that process. So all of this ties in together, and that's why when you're on training, whether you're watching the video, you're watching the replay right now, or you're attending live, it's like the same. There are many people that have never been on live training, not once, but they're able to duplicate this process because they're learning through the videos. And that's because you guys are learning a skill. You're not learning a strategy. You see the difference? See, if this was just a strategy, it would work sometimes. It's not a strategy. You guys are learning how to read the market. This works all the time. You always are going to know to stay out of the market. And that's the difference also. You have the wherewithal to not trade because the market environment is not what you need it to be. You know how much discipline it takes to do that? It takes a hell of a lot of discipline to do that all the time. Like that's all you do. Oh, did we take trades today? No. Well, why not? Well, the market did not position itself to give us trades. Okay. And that's it. We're not upset. We're not, oh, I didn't get a trade today. No. You learn how to do less and less of that because you understand that this process is leading up to winning trades. We're only here to win trades. That's it. So the only way for us to do that with a high level of precision and consistency is to not do anything other than the process that we're being trained to do. And that's why it's so repetitive. It's repetitive on purpose. It's monotonous and kind of boring on purpose. We don't need to do anything. Or I should say, we don't need to do anything else. So with that being the case, if you're not trained to actually do what it is that you know that you're supposed to be doing, all the time, then you're going to deviate and do something else. That's what the difference is. Hope my internet ain't going out. It seems like this thing froze up. All right, there we go. So this is rinse and repeat. It's the same thing over again. So now at this moment, we know that we're waiting for the market to slow down, and we're also waiting to see progression in the behavior. What has the behavior been for the last 3 binaries? Someone tell me. Minnesota said move hold. Stavia said jerk. All right. This one right here was what? What time was that? The 10? No, the 9:10. The 9:10 was what? Right. That was move hold. This one right here was this one. What was this one? I knew you was gonna say that, Minnesota. Yeah, it held for the most part. It had some jerk in it, but it did. It held for the most part. And Lestavius, that's strong what you just said. That you want your move hold to be very clean. And I agree. I agree. The reason that I like to do like you'll hear me say it held for the most part is because I want to see if the market is making progression binary after binary. Like for example, this one held for the most part. If you look at this one, you would either call this a jerk or you would say that held for the most part. And the reason that the distinction is important is because depending on what you say, it's going to determine for you if you're seeing that the market is getting better or not. So if you feel that the market is progressing based on what you're seeing, then it becomes less subjective. So if you say it to yourself, I only want to see clean, move, and hold. Just like you said just now, if you're saying that to yourself, then if it's not clean, like if this to you is more jerk, then you would classify that as jerk. You would classify that as jerk, and that's fine. That's fine. The reason that it's okay is because no one can dispute a clean move hold. When we get a clean move hold, everybody will say, yeah, that's move hold. And we know that if it is clean move hold, right, then when it sets up, if we apply Mark's rule, because you have everything else that you need, market slowed down, right? And in addition to the market slowing down, the behavior is also reflecting what we want it to be. So that would mean that move hold happened during the market being slow. And on top of that, if you apply the parameters and the parameters were met, what is that? What is that? What do we call that? Mark's rule. Bingo. And what do we talk about with Mark's rule that we want? How do we want Mark's rule to behave? So in other words, if you apply the parameters are valid, that trade is valid. Instead of you actually taking the trade, you leave it. Now you're watching for the behavior, and you want the behavior to be move hold. Bingo. And yes, just exactly. You want it to be what you would want it to be if you were in the trade. So the question again, what would you want it to do if you were in that trade? That becomes the question. And if the behavior is not that, on a trade that validated, then you would reconsider applying that to Mark's rule. You wouldn't just say, yeah, that was a Mark's rule because it won. You would say that was Mark's rule because it set up and it gave me the behavior that I'm looking for in a slow condition, period. And that's very strong. That's very, very strong. So we're starting to see the market slow down now. For new students, I have forgot to mention this in the beginning. I apologize. Videos number 92, number 55 are the videos in particular that you're going to watch to become familiar with the process that we use to validate and to disqualify trades. What we're covering right now is the play-by-play and also the requirement of having a slow condition, which is a two-part thing, but they're one and the same. The play-by-play is the first parameter. That's the very first thing that we're doing when we come on the chart. I think William had a hard time trying to get on. Okay, thank you, J. Carl. Okay, now, here's the next question. Let's assume the market's slowing down. What do you do on the next binary, specifically? Like right now, let's say market slowed down. Okay. Next binary, what are we doing? Like, what are we actually doing, step by step, on this next binary coming up? Ms. Otis said we watching. Gustavia said we're watching. Okay. What are we looking for? Gustavia said progression. What was the behavior on this last one? What was the behavior right here? Let me mark it. That was move hold, right? Okay. Crystal said we're looking for it to hold. Joshua said move hold. Okay. So this was move hold. So we in the last minute of this binary. So this binary right here, what do you want this to do in order to show us more progression? Bingo. You want that one to move and hold too. See if we gonna get it. Yeah, we got it. All right. Now, this tells us a lot of information. This tells us a lot. So now we got two move holds. Right now, condition in the market slowed down, didn't it? So right at this very moment, what would you say specifically we are waiting for now? Right, we did talk that one up. Jerry said Mark's rule. Bingo. How do you get Mark's rule? What do we have to start doing now? Bingo. You now look. This is so awesome because this is how fast it begins to unfold. Now, mind you, if we go back to when we were in this area, Mark was moving kind of fast back here, right? Then we start to see the market start slowing down. We got over here, and here started slowing down. Here started slowing down. So overall, you're seeing, again, remember when I said that the speed and the behavior are closely tied together? Look at the coincidence of, as the market starts to slow down, you start getting moving holds. Isn't that interesting? And now you know exactly what it is that you're doing because you know what you were waiting to see. You wanted to see the market slow down, and you wanted to see this behavior. So right now, you're seeing that. So now, exactly what Jerry said, you need to see a Mark's rule, which means what? Take me through that. You want to see Mark's rule. What does that mean? Ms. Otis said a valid winning trade that we let pass. Yep. Crystal said no DQ. Yep. What else? What else about it? Specifically. Bingo. You see that? We want all our parameters met, and we wanted to have the right behavior on it. Now, let's put that in perspective for a second, because let's say that you came on the chart, right? And when did we start doing the play-by-play? Back here? So we was all the way back here doing the play-by-play, right? When you come on the chart, let's say that in your mind, you know that you're waiting for exactly what we just said that we're looking for now. You're waiting to see all the parameters line up, and you want to move and hold on that trade, a valid trade that sets up with all the parameters met and move and hold in a slow condition. You see how you just simplified everything? Now, if you come on the charts with that mindset, with that frame of mind, everything that we did, you would do automatically. You're doing this automatically by default. You're not even thinking about it. You're just doing it. All right, here we under a minute, priced out. Priced out. So we know that this is not going to set up. And if you were looking at this for long, this would be a DQ anyway because the price backticked on you. And that's okay. Once again, you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. So once it prices out or it disqualifies or whatever the case may be, then you just continue to do what? What do you just continue to do anyway? Exactly. Observe. We just keep watching. We keep watching. So what was your behavior right there? Let me see what y'all say. What was the behavior in that last one just now? Yep. Exactly. Yep, that's what it was. And you saw it because when you saw that first move, candle color was blue. So it looked like it was about to move up, right? Then it turned around, went red, and you can see the little wick on the top, and then it moved its way down. So when it moved down, it held. So now that reversal kind of jerky movement, we know that we don't want that. So as we're just continuing to observe, you'll notice also that as you're watching the behavior still, and you're continuing to apply the parameters, you still know what you're waiting for. You're still waiting to see Mark's rule with move whole. That's what you're still waiting to see. So regardless of what it is that you're doing at the time, you know that you want to see a clean move whole that actually set up as a trade. The fact that you're doing that and you're waiting for that first before you actually begin your trading means that you're putting yourself in the best environment to be in, right, at the right time. Best environment at the right time. Because the timing is coming from the precision of you entering into a trade that sets up in the right environment in the market. That's why when you take the trade, it's going to win. That's why when you take the trade, there'll be the least potential for anything to happen against your trade. You'll get in and just win the trade. And again, this is why patience is required on our part, because we just got to sit and just wait for that to happen. And anything that we're doing is just observation of the market so that we can see whether or not the market is making its way closer to, or further away from what we're looking for. And that's it. The market can only be doing one of those two things. It's either getting further away or it's getting closer. Either way, you can decide what you want to do. How many of y'all on Friday, I think me and Joshua were the only ones kind of left on the chart. Everybody else had logged out. We were on the chart looking. Yes, team log out. We were on the chart looking. I'm like, I think it was about had to be like 320, 330. And the market it was messy. It was just moving too fast and just too much going on. So about 3:35, I was like, listen, we might have to join team log out. So that's what we did. We logged out. So, just having the discipline to do that, because the less that you feel like you're missing out on something, the more protected that you're going to keep your account and your capital. Always. Because you're not feeling that anxious, that anxiety that leads to losses. When you get anxiety, you'll look at situations where, the market is about to close. I want to get one in. You'll look at that, and it could cause you to get into the market at the wrong time. You're just in there at the wrong time. You'll look for a trade. You might see the parameters kind of set up, or you might cheat a little bit. You'll see a backtick and take it anyway. You'll have 4 micro pips, take it anyway. The little stuff that people be doing and have done. All of that comes from anxiety. You're learning how not to do that. And I'm telling you, it's very empowering, because you're so disciplined that By the time you get on the chart and wait for your trade to come, if the trade don't come, you out. And you don't feel any kind of way about it. Like, you don't feel disappointed or like, damn, I didn't get a trade. Well, there was no trade for you because you only want perfection. And let me not say perfection because I don't want to make it seem like, you know, we a bunch of psychopaths just waiting for the perfect opportunity. We know what it is that we're waiting for. And we know that the probability of us winning our trades is so high that by the time our trade's set up, we get the win. That's what happens. We don't want to put ourselves in position to take trades where we're like, man, I'm glad I won that one. If you're saying that when you take trades, you're taking them at the wrong time. Point blank. If you're saying stuff like, man, that was close, you're taking them at the wrong time. You should never be in a trade where you feel that way or have to say that. Because the market gives us these trades. I'm telling you. And I don't have to keep saying that. You already know, like, especially if you've been here for any length of time, we know what it looks like when, you know, there's synergy when we're taking trades. Because we always have synergy when we're not taking trades as well. Synergy just meaning that we're all on the same wavelength, looking at the market the right way, knowing to stay out. And then also, synergy is when trades set up and we all end up in the same damn trades. Either way is powerful because it's the training. We're all trained to execute. And that's all we do. We don't deviate. Jay Carly said it feels great, no anxiety, discipline. Ms. Otis said no expectations when you're on the charts. Keeps anxiety at bay. Bingo. Just expect the market to do what she does when she does it. Dr. Phil, patience equals opportunities. There you go. And that's all we do. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Any of you new folks that are newer, I should say, if you have questions, you can interject and throw your questions out. And, you know, especially if you feel like it's a question that you wanted to ask but you were afraid to, that's the question that you need to ask, definitely. Stavia said, it's funny how things are much more comprehensive when you're in the room with your professor and classmates. Sometimes things become foreign when alone. All day. That's all day. That is all day. And especially when you're dealing with something like the markets. Because the markets are moving. Like while you're doing what you're doing, the market is still doing stuff. So when you run into a wall, so to speak, when you're not familiar with something that the market is doing at the time, you're like, damn, I thought that, you know, around this time, market was supposed to do this. But we don't think like that at all. We're like, listen, the market just do whatever it feel like doing. It don't matter what time, what day, what month. It doesn't matter. The market does whatever it feels like doing. Y'all will see stuff happen. Sometimes we'll be in the chart and we're just watching. You'll be like, oh my goodness, did y'all see that candle? Market just shoot up 30, 40 pips, not micro pips, pips. And no one knows what happened. There was no news or nothing. It just moved. And everybody's sitting there watching like, oh, thank God for the parameters. It's powerful stuff. Yes, making you feel like straight retarded. Like a baby. Yes, indeed. Y'all watching this one? This one right here looked like it was valid just now. I'm just saying. That one looked valid right there. Jay Carly said she saw a back tick. Sped up. Miss Otis said it sped up. Stavey said it was a back tick. What was the speed on that one when you saw it move up? It was like around 2? And also, did it speed up after the parameters met or before? Sped up after? Okay. Joshua said it sped and then it DQ'd first. Jerry said it looked good, although it went by 2. There was structure. Okay. Miss Otis said after the back tick. Okay, so the fastest it went was 2 micropips, and that was after you had a back tick. So, in other words, you could have potentially already been in the trade, and then it sped up after you were in the trade. Is that right? Jerry said that was valid. Yeah, I had just glanced at it. I was thinking the same thing. Jay Carly said yes. Dr. Phil, yes. Okay. All right, so we'll count that as Mark's rule. Now, why am I saying that we'll count that as Mark's rule? Why? And this is good. This is good. Jay Carly said because it moved and held. Woo! It's powerful stuff, man. Nastavia said because of previous price action. That too, yes. And when you say that, be more specific. What do you mean by that? What did you see about the previous behavior? Nastavia said move and holds. And lo and behold, you got a move and hold right there, the one right before. True. And if you look at what actually happened, you had move hold, one reverse hold, move hold, and then the trade that just set up just now. So the common denominator is that it's holding one. There was only one reverse hold in the middle. And this right here, because these last 2 binaries move and held, in your study, that right there is already the prerequisite that you're looking for, because you want to have 2 consecutive move and holds. And then on top of that, this one was Mark's rule. And we're still in a slow condition. So now, what does this do for your confidence when the trade sets up now? How would you feel about taking a trade that sets up now? Jay Carly said, feeling pretty confident. Parameter set up. Jerry, I feel confident. Joshua's ready to shoot. Joshua's like, listen, I need to get it off from Friday, man. All right, let's look at this one. Come on, don't backtick. Just go down. Come on, give us the 4. Give us the 4. There it is. See the backtick? See how I came up? We ain't taking that. Joshua said it was priced out. I bet you got pricing now because it's going up. But we know not to do anything with that. See, and this is how our parameters keep us out of the market when we don't need to be in the market, period. So, Jerry said he ain't gonna lie, he saw the price out. Okay. And see the fact that you knew not to take that trade, you should feel good about that. Because if you had taken the trade, let's say that there was pricing on it. Let's say I saw pricing, right? And it didn't backtick yet. So if it didn't backtick and it didn't move in your direction, what is it doing? See if you're really paying attention. If it didn't backtick and it did not move in your direction, what would it have done? Exactly. Stalled. What's wrong with stalls? They pop on you all day. Exactly. You have no idea which direction it's going to move in. And that's why you can't take it. So even if it would have stalled, you still wouldn't have taken it. If it would have stalled and given you price and everything on the option, you still would not have taken the trade. That's powerful. Telling y'all guys, man. I tell you one thing, man. It feels good not to lose. For real. Josh just said pops are good in cereal. Come on, man. Don't start talking about no cereal. Please. I'm looking now to see what I got. I finished my box of Frosted Flakes. I don't see nothing else right now. Damn. You had to bring up cereal. I ain't got none. I don't got none, man. Oh, man, no. You like those? Oh, I don't know about that, Miss Otis. Chocolate Frosted Flakes? Ah. Man, I don't know. I wouldn't try that just voluntarily. She said try it. Joshua would say he needs some insulin. Just for reading that. So, all right, does it taste like let me see, like Count Chocula? Is it kind of like in that kind of category? Even though I don't mess with Count Chocula either, but I vaguely remember how they tasted back in the day. I wonder if it kind of tastes maybe like that. She said no. You know what? Just because you said to try it, I'm gonna try it. I'm going to try them. Randy said he tried Raisin Bran with bananas. Interesting. Interesting. What Jay Carly said, make a note of how much time before they price out. Yes. What time in the binary are we starting to observe this, if this makes sense? Under a minute. Definitely under a minute. He said elaborate. Yeah, you wanna do that under the minute mark. Here, let me see this one. Well, that one already backticked, but like this, like that one just now, and I know that we're on demo, but just now on demo, you had pricing on that just now, like in the 40s. Right before it backticked, it was like 45 seconds or something like that. You still had pricing on the option. So I like to do that under the minute mark, like early, like in the 50s. Joshua said price start hard. Pricing was weird. Okay. And that's good. When the pricing is off, that's good for us because it means that there's instability still of, on something. We don't know what it is yet. It could be the market about to do something crazy, or liquidity on Nadex or whatever. But whatever it is, we know that we don't want no parts of it if it's acting crazy. We ain't gonna mess around with it. Especially not when a trade is gonna come along and it's gonna be clean. It's just a matter of waiting for it. I forgot who it was the other night. They were on until like 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was something that they kind of did for the first time. And they ended up getting in the trade, and the trade was beautiful. It was a textbook trade. It was like 1 something in the morning. And he was like, man, I didn't know the market moved like that at that time. And that's just it. The fact that we're learning how to do this means that you can come on the chart and do it at any time. And if the market positions itself and gives us what we need, we're going to see it and we'll take the trade. So the observation is in the 40s, and then it got DQ, but then on the next one, it's in the 40s also. And the next, and then it sets up without being DQ'd, then we feel comfortable taking it in the 40s. I would say that if you're seeing on average that it's pricing out in the 40s, and you already have everything that you need in place, like right now we know that we still in a slow condition. We're starting to see some jerk right now kind of come back. Like this was a jerk here. You had a reverse hold here. It's a little jerky right now. But as long as the speed stays slow, all we need is that move hold. When that move hold comes back and you see that first, and then you let a trade set up, validate, I'm taking it. I'm not going to take it off of a jerk. I will take it off of a move hold if I see that the speed in the market is still slow. I'm going to take it. And if I'm seeing that the average time remaining before the option gets priced out is in the 40s, that's a good time. 40s is a good time to me, because if you're getting priced out in the 50s, then you kind of know that things are a little out of sync for you to be getting priced out that early. The market might be too slow if you're getting priced out earlier. When there's more movement in the overall market, you won't get priced out that early. And that's just a tip. That's like a little tip for anyone that watches the option pricing. If you're seeing a tendency of the option pricing out early, like over a minute, it's because the market might be moving too slow at the time. So it's always going to be through observation that things eventually end up lining up, because your observation, you'll see when the pricing shifts. You want to chart, you're going to see when your option pricing starts to give you less time remaining on the option before you could take the trade. So in other words, you'll have favorable pricing for longer. You'll see that. You'll be able to see everything because you're looking at the market. And what's great about it is that we're not dependent on any one particular thing. We're looking at a combination of many things. It goes back to, that's over. See, and this is what I'm talking about. Like the parameters would keep you out anyway. So until the market lines up, you're going to see funny, quirky behavior. You're going to not get validated on your trades. You're going to see option pricing is off. You're going to be getting priced out too early. It'll be so many different things going on that prohibit you from taking the trade. So because we're never depending on only one thing, we're looking at everything. And because we're looking at everything, it begins from looking at the market itself. Like this all starts from the play-by-play and watching behavior, all of it. And that's why we're gonna, we always gonna be sharp, always. And the market never gonna be able to slide a quick one over on us because you're watching. You know what you're waiting for. Like right now, look at this reverse hold. This was a jerk. Reverse hold. You like right now ain't nothing. Is you know not to take a trade if one sets up now. You ain't gonna take the next one. You're gonna wait. You need to see move hold. And if speed came back in, you need to see the market slow down again. Every time we follow protocol, so we're always in position to know exactly what we're waiting for, regardless. So that's what always gives us the upper hand with what we're doing on the charts, because we're not rushing to get into a trade. There's no need to. If the market is well positioned, it's going to give us the trade, literally. Like it's going to just position. You'll have option pricing that's favorable. You'll have time to take the trade. You already have move holds on the chart. Behavior will be right. It'll be moving slow. Everything will be there. What you're learning to do is to put everything in position so that you know specifically what it is that you're waiting for that you may not have yet. And whatever that thing is, you know that when that comes, all right, that came, so now I got all of it. All right, I'm waiting for my trade now. If it don't set up, it just don't set up. But the fact that you're there waiting and you know what you're waiting for, when it does set up, you take the trade. And win the trade. Let me add that part because you're going to win. All right, so we at 10:02. Did any of you have any questions? Anything that you wanted to go over real quick before we get off? Any concerns, any issues? Any of the newer folks have questions? I hope I'm seeing this. Am I seeing the chat? Yeah, okay. All right, just making sure. All right, very good then. Very good. Want to see this last one. Thank you, Jay Carly. Matt said, what videos explains the move hold? Good question. Video number 175, in particular, talks about the classification of behavior. And you get a clear understanding of it. And just to simplify it again for you, Matt, anytime that you're on the chart and you're confused about something, just ask yourself one question. Is this how I want the price to move when I'm in the trade? Like just go to the end of the binary. You see how like right now we got 40-some seconds left. The way that the price moves now, ask yourself, is this how I want price to move if I was in this trade? And if your answer is no, then you know that's not the behavior that we're looking for. That really just simplifies it all. That simplifies it all. And then that gives you the base and the foundation to always have. So in the back of your mind, you're always thinking like that. I mean everything. Everything. Because, all right, let me give you an example. Matter of fact, even the one that we're looking at right now, this one just now that we're looking at, you see how it kind of barely moved? It stalled. It kind of stalled, like it didn't do anything. Do you want to be in a trade that's stalling? Let me ask that question first. Would you want to be in the trade when it was stalling? Let's say the setup and you got into the trade for whatever reason. Or not even for whatever reason, because we get into trades for specific reasons. But let's say that you got into the trade hypothetically. Would you want to be in a trade that stalls, where the price is not moving? Yes or no? Now, look at what you just said. You said it might pop. That's why you do not want to be in that trade. So if you're seeing that this is the behavior present when you're watching and you're observing and you're conducting your study, then you know that that's not the behavior that you want to be present before you begin actually applying the parameters and waiting for your trade to set up. You see what I'm saying? You already know that. You know that you wouldn't want to be in a trade if it stalled. You wouldn't want to be in a trade if it started out going up and then it reversed and went the other way by the end of the binary. You wouldn't want to be in that. You wouldn't want to be in a trade if it moved in one direction and then by the time the end of the binary comes, it pulls back up and jerks. You wouldn't want to be in that, right? But look at this one. Look at how this clean move set up. It opened up. When we were watching this, it was moving slow. It set up right above this strike, this 31.19. Set up. Validated the trade. You were in the trade. The way that it moved when you were in the trade, it moved its way up. It accelerated a little bit after you were in the trade. So we're not even talking about after you were in the trade. We're talking about before you got into the trade, it's set up, which is the reason that you take the trade. Assuming that you took this trade, I'm just saying. The way that it ended, at the end of the binary, it moved in the same direction and it stayed where it moved to. That's how we want the price to move when we're in trades, period. So the more of this behavior that we see, which is move hold, and this is what video 175 is going to give you more clarification on. Just observing the different behaviors and ultimately watching so that you see the market make its way to this behavior, this specifically. And as you see the market do that, you know that anything that's not that is not what you would want to be in if you were in that trade, which means that you need to wait for that. You want to always see move and hold before you take any trade. And it will manifest not only through that behavior, but it will also manifest through a valid trade that's set up that you watched first. That's Mark's rule. Where you observe that trade set up, you don't take it because you can't take it yet. You don't know if it's going to do that. Uh-oh, you lost my audio? Anyone else can't hear me? Matt said the audio is good. That must be on your end, Jay Carly. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, fix your stuff, Jay Carly. Come on. Yeah, but hopefully, Matt, that was a good explanation just to help you get more clarity on it, even before you watch the video. But 175 will definitely give you more clarity. All right, excellent. And yes, so videos on number 92, for those of you who are new, 92 and number 55, also number 175, and also number 193. And you can throw in 202. 202 was great. The one from Friday? Not Friday, from Thursday night. Excellent, man. We were going into Mark's rule in more detail. And again, all of this is just it's all relevant to what we do. So a lot of it is repetitive, and it seems like it's different things that we're talking about, but it's all the same. It's just different perspectives on doing the same thing. Yeah, so you guys definitely make sure that you check those videos out. 92, 55, 175, 193, 202. Stay connected in the group chat. Group chat is where the fire is constantly. Any questions that you might have, any concerns that you might have, anything that you're not clear on, we're running the play-by-plays. We're doing everything there, and it's up 24/7. So there's always someone around in there. Definitely stay connected. Yes, someone will always answer your questions. All right, and tonight's training will be available probably within the next 40 minutes or so. What are the prospects of finding a good trade early morning until 8 or 9? I would say before 8 o'clock, you can be on the charts watching. Once you get like to the 8 o'clock mark, you want to kind of fall back a little bit because there's a tendency of increased volatility in the market, meaning that the market just moves faster, moves way faster, and it just does a lot more stuff. Yeah, that's a very good time. What Jay Carly just suggested, 5 to 7, and then she off the charts by 7 o'clock. And you'll find your own times that you're comfortable with, you know, just as you practice. Definitely. All right, very good questions. Very good questions. All right, everybody. So everyone have a great night. So we'll pick it up again tomorrow. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hasta la vista. I don't have no cereal or nothing, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to find something in the freezer, maybe some ice cream in there. But everybody have a good night. See y'all in the group chat.